Welcome to RLP Audiobooks channel, the channel that brings forgotten books back to life in audio format, so you can listen to whenever and wherever you desire, whether you're driving, chilling, and even sleeping. Please consider subscribing to the channel and click the notifications button so you don't miss out on any other videos. Now, relax, listen, ponder, and enjoy.
Surah 58. Al-Mujadila. Context. Period of revelation. There is no hadith to tell as to when this incident of pleading and arguing took place, but there is a hint in the subject matter of the surah, on the basis of which it can be said with certainty that it happened sometime after the Battle of the Trench, Shawwal, 5 after Hijrah. In Surah 33, Al-Ahzab, God, while negating that an adopted son could be one's real son, had just said this and no more.
And God has not made those of your wives, whom you divorced by zihar, your mothers.
But in that surah, there was nothing to the effect that to divorce a wife by zihar was a sin or a crime, nor anything about the legal injunction concerning it. Contrary to it, in this surah, the whole law relating to zihar has been laid down, which shows that these detailed injunctions were sent down sometime after the brief reference to it, in Surah 33, Al-Ahzab. The subject matter and topics. In this surah, instructions have been given to the Muslims about the different problems that confronted them at that time. From the beginning of the surah to verse 6, legal injunctions about zihar have been given, along with which the Muslims have been strictly warned that it is contrary to their profession of the faith, that they should still persist in the practices of ignorance after they have accepted Islam, that they should break the limits set by God, or refuse to abide by them, or that they should make their own rules and regulations, contradictory to them. For this there is not only the punishment of disgrace and humiliation in the world, but in the hereafter too, there will be strict accountability for it. In verses 7 to 10, the hypocrites have been taken to task for their secret whisperings and consultations by which they conspired and intrigued against the Prophet, and because of their hidden malice and grudge, greeted him,
like the Jews,
in a manner as to wish him ill, instead of well. In this connection, the Muslims have been consoled as if to say, these whisperings of the hypocrites can do no harm to you. Therefore, you should go on doing your duty with full trust in God. Besides, they have also been taught this moral lesson. The true believers, when they talk secretly together, do not talk of sin and transgression, and disobedience to the messenger. If they have to talk secretly together, they should talk of goodness and piety. In verses 11 to 13, the Muslims have been taught certain manners of social behavior, and given instructions to eradicate certain social evils, which were prevalent among the people then, as they are today. If some people are sitting in an assembly, and more people arrive, they do not show even the courtesy as to squeeze in, so as to make room for others, with the result that the newcomers have to keep standing, or to sit in the doorway, or to go back, or seeing that there is enough room, yet start jumping over the people's heads to find room for themselves. This often used to be experienced in the Prophet's assemblies. Therefore, God gave the instruction as if to say, do not behave selfishly, and in a narrow-minded way in your assemblies. Accommodate the newcomers also, with an open heart. Likewise, another vice found among the people is that when they go to visit somebody, an important person in particular, they prolong their sitting and do not mind at all that encroaching upon his time unduly would cause him hardship. Then, if he tells them to leave, they mind. If he himself rises up from their assembly, they complain of his lack of manners. If he tells them indirectly that he has some other business also to attend to for which he needs time, they turn a deaf ear to his request. The Prophet himself also had to experience such misconduct from the people, who in their earnestness to benefit by his teaching, did not at all see that they were wasting his precious time, so badly needed for other important works. At last, God, in order to eradicate this bad manner, enjoined that when the people are asked to rise up from an assembly, they should rise up and disperse. Another vice prevalent among the people was that each person wished to have secret counsel, individually, with the prophet without any real need, or would like that he should approach him during an assembly, and whisper something to him. This was not only embarrassing for the prophet, but also annoying for the people who sat in the assembly. That is why God imposed the restriction, that anyone who wanted to consult him in private, should first give something away in charity. The objective was, that the people should be warned of this bad manner and made to give it up. Thus, the restriction was kept in force for a short while, and when the people had corrected their behavior, it was withdrawn. From verse 14 to the end of the surah, members of the Muslim society, which was a mixture of the sincere Muslims and the hypocrites, and the waverers, have been told plainly as to what is the criterion of sincerity in Islam. One kind of Muslims are those who are friends with the enemies of Islam. They do not hesitate for the sake of their interests to be treacherous to the religion which they profess to believe in. They spread all sorts of doubts and suspicions against Islam, and prevent the people from adopting the way of God. But since they are part of the Muslim community, their false profession of faith serves them as a cover and shield. The second kind of Muslims are those who, in the matter of God's religion, do not care even for their own father, brother, children, and family, to say nothing of others. They do not cherish any feeling of love for the person who is an enemy of God, and his messenger and his religion. God in these verses, has explicitly stated that the people of the first kind, in fact, belong to Satan's party, however hard they may try to convince others of their Islam, by swearing oaths. And the honor of belonging to God's party is possessed only by the Muslims of the second kind. They alone are the true Muslims, they alone will attain to true success, and with them alone is God well pleased. Surah 58. Al-Mujadila.
The contention, or pleading woman.
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Certainly has God heard the speech of the one who argues with you, O Muhammad, concerning her husband, and directs her complaint to God. And God hears your dialogue, indeed God is hearing and seeing. Those who pronounce zihar among you, to separate from their wives.
The saying by a husband to his wife, "You are to me like the back of my mother," meaning, unlawful to approach. This was a type of divorce practiced by the Arabs before the prophethood of Muhammad.
They are not consequently their mothers. Their mothers are none, but those who gave birth to them. And indeed what they say is detestable and false. But indeed God is pardoning and forgiving. And those who pronounce zihar from their wives, and then wish to go back on what they said, then there must be the freeing of a slave before they touch one another. That is what you are admonished thereby, and God is acquainted with what you do. And he, who does not find a slave, then a fast for 2 months consecutively,
uninterrupted, except when there is an Islamically valid reason, as in Ramadan,
before they touch one another, and he, who is unable, then the feeding of 60 poor persons. This is so you would believe in God and his messenger, and those are the limits set by God. And for the disbelievers is a painful punishment. Indeed those who oppose God and his messenger, are abased as those before them were abased. And we have certainly sent down verses of clear evidence. And for the disbelievers is a humiliating punishment, on the day when God will resurrect them all, and inform them of what they did. God had enumerated it, while they forgot it, and God is, over all things, witness. Have you not considered that God knows what is in the heavens, and what is on the earth? There is in no private conversation 3, but that he is the fourth of them,
through his knowledge of them and their secrets.
Nor are there 5, but that he is the 6th of them, and no less than that, and no more except that he is with them in knowledge, wherever they are. Then he will inform them of what they did, on the day of resurrection. Indeed God is, of all things, knowing. Have you not considered those who were forbidden from secret conversations? Then they return to that which they were forbidden, and converse among themselves about sin and aggression, and disobedience to the messenger? And when they come to you, they greet you with that word, by which God does not greet you.
This is in reference to the Jews, who would greet the Muslims with the words, "Death be upon you," rather than, "Peace."
And say among themselves, "Why does God not punish us for what we say? Sufficient for them is hell, which they will enter to burn, and wretched is the destination." O you, who have believed, when you talk secretly, do not speak about sin and aggression and disobedience to the messenger, but converse about righteousness and piety. And fear God, to whom you will be gathered. Secret conversation is only from Satan, that he may grieve those who have believed.
The reference may be to the sinful type of conversation, as mentioned in the previous verses, or to the practice of two persons speaking in confidence, in the presence of a third, which might lead him to assume that he is the subject of their conversation. Such behavior was prohibited by the Prophet, in narrations of al-Bukhari and Muslim.
But he will not harm them at all, except by permission of God. And upon God let the believers rely. O you, who have believed, when you are told, space yourselves in assemblies, then make space, God will make space for you.
In His mercy, in paradise, or in everything good.
And when you are told, arise,
to prayer, to battle, or to good deeds.
Then arise, God will raise those who have believed among you, and those who are given knowledge, by degrees. And God is acquainted with what you do. O you, who have believed, when you wish to privately consult the messenger, present before your consultation a charity. That is better for you and purer. But if you find not the means, then indeed God is forgiving and merciful. Are you worried to give charity in advance, before your private consultation? Since you did not, and God has forgiven you, then at least establish prayer, and give zakat and obey God and His messenger. And God is acquainted with what you do. Have you not considered, those who make allies of a people with whom God has become angry? They are neither of you, nor of them, and they swear to untruth, while they know they are lying. God has prepared for them a severe punishment. Indeed it was evil, that they were doing. They took their false oaths as a cover, so they prevented people from the way of God. And for them, is a humiliating punishment. Never will their wealth, or their children, avail them against God at all. Those are the companions of the fire, they will abide therein eternally. On the day God will resurrect them all, and they will swear to Him as they swear to you, and think that they are standing on something.
They assume that their lies will be believed, and they will escape detection, as they did in worldly life.
Surely it is they, who are the liars. Satan has gained control over them, so he made them forget the remembrance of God. Those are the party of Satan. Surely,
the party of Satan.
They will be the losers. Indeed the ones who oppose God and His messenger, those will be among the most humiliated. God has written,
decreed,
I will surely prevail, I, and my messengers. Indeed God is powerful and exalted in might. You will not find a people who believe in God in the last day, having affection for those who oppose God and His messenger, even if they were their fathers or their sons, or their brothers or their kindred. Those, He has decreed within their hearts, faith, and supported them with spirit from Him.
Meaning, that which gives life, explained as the guidance of the Qur'an, or victory over their opponents.
And we will admit them to gardens beneath which rivers flow, wherein they abide eternally. God is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him, those are the party of God. Surely,
the party of God.
They are the successful.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed listening to this book, please give it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel, and click the notifications button, so you don't miss out on any other videos.